Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio. Discover your spiritual gifts live.
Welcome to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, show number 57. We're your hosts, Dave and
Vialet.
Our guest today is Palmist Myrna Lou Goldbaum. Myrna Lou teaches classes in palmistry with an insightful explanation of the lines and symbols. The modality employed is Oriental Palmistry. Her palmistry services have been booked for parties, private and corporate groups, and for individual readings. She is an entertainer, guest lecturer, conducts seminars and workshops, is a participant in numerous psychic fairs and trade shows, and is a guest on numerous radio and television programs nationally. She has read the palms and corresponded with people in 93 countries regarding palmistry. She has read over 50,000 palms. She is the author of 4 books: May I See Your Hand, Palm Reading for Fun and Profit, Soulmate Connections, Diary of a Palm Reader, and Cruise to the Other Side, a paranormal novel. All books are available from Myrna Lou on her website, www.myrnalou.com. So welcome, Myrna Lou. Thank you for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you've done palm reading a long time. Tell us how you got into it. How did you get started?
Okay, I was 10 years old, and my mother was a nurse in a hospital in Dayton, Ohio. And I showed up for a ride home after school, and she couldn't leave. We had to stay for 8 hours. So I got noisy, and she just grabbed a book off of the volunteer wagon and said, "Here, read this." So I sat down. I tried to read it, but it was all over my head. It's very complicated, but every page had one picture of a hand on it. So I studied all those hands. And then I went home and practiced on my sister, who was 6. Then I did the mailman, the milkman, the neighbors, my cousins, the teachers, anybody I could do. And I've been doing it ever since. That's 71 years ago.
Wow. So you're a spring chicken then.
I should be pretty good by now.
Well, one of the things that you've talked about, and maybe you can go into it more, is a lot of what you get about palms is actually intuitive. You get downloads frequently before you even start seeing the actual image of the palm.
Right. Well, the first thing I do when it's in person, I have the person write their name, because we write that more than anything, and I can feel their energy. Then I have them fold their hands, and I decide if they're left or right brained. Then I know what I'm reading and who's across from me. Then when I start reading, it is intuitive, but the lines are my blueprint. So I follow the lines like a guide and intuitively pick up what they need or why they're there to see me.
Now, you can pick up dates or ages out of a palm reading, correct?
No, I can't get dates. I can get general within a year or 2. So if somebody says, "Am I up for a job?" I can't see if they're going to get it, what day they're going to get it, but I could tell if they're being considered or if they should think of something else. So I never tell anybody what to do. I just show them what's on their hand.
Okay. I think you've told me in the past that you read the dominant hand only.
Yeah, most palmists read both hands, and I have to read the one that the person writes and eats with, because that's the one that you were dealt with from birth. That's the one that God gave you as a newborn baby. The other hand is utopia. It's what you wish. And we all wish the same things, that we'd be happy, healthy, go on vacations, never have to worry about money. That isn't real. And the real hand is the one that you write with and you eat your food with. So that's why I read that hand.
Do you get into other details on the hands, like into the fingers and the lengths of the fingers and all those things?
I look at fingerprints, and I look at the shape of the hand and the nail bed. I look at a lot of things while the person's sitting there. They don't know what I'm studying. So I say, "Let me see your hand." And then I'm working it over in my mind. and I know what to talk about.
How do our hands change? Do the markings in our hands change over time?
You're born as a newborn baby with a tiny hand the size of a 50-cent piece. And then as you grow and you have experiences, the lines that were there that you're born with move, they meander, they stop, they start, new ones come. So every experience that a person has from birth is impacted on their brain, and the brain is what made the hand.
So are there times, I'm just curious, where we might have an exit where we've decided we're going to leave the planet and we change our mind in some level, and does that change on your hand? Does that show up in your hand?
I wouldn't even be able to see if you're going to leave the planet or not. That part isn't on there.
I thought there was like a lifeline or something in your hand.
Well, there's a lifeline, but it doesn't say when you're going to leave. It shows your heredity. It's what you come from, your gene pool from all the way back, plus your parents, your grandparents. And so it's what you're capable of achieving, not what's really going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So I don't say to somebody, oh my God, you're going to die. I say, so you better start watching what you eat, or maybe you need to exercise, or how about a little more vitamins, or pay attention to your sleep. And then that helps guide them.
What is the main information that you get from the hand? Like, I've never had somebody read my hand. So what can
I should have read this.
What's on your hand?
Okay, so there's 5 basic lines that I look at. So the lifeline would have to be there, or you aren't here. Then we have the love line, and the soulmate is what I'm a specialist in, and that's on there. Then we have work, reproduction, and the bracelets. So all of those tell me a lot about the person. But then when I'm doing a reading, I say, do you have any specific question you need answered? And they go, well, yeah, I've been married 34 years. I'm not very happy. And I go, well, because you stayed for the security, or you stayed for your children, and now it's your turn. Why are you still there if you're unhappy? And then they start thinking about it, and I get thank you notes from people because I help nudge them out the door. See, by looking at the palm, I can show them what their potential is.
So you talked about, was it a soul relationship, soul partners? Do we have one or multiples?
Right. And that I have to look. First, they have to believe in reincarnation, or it won't work, because I look at past lives to see how many times somebody's been here. Then I count how many chances they will have to find a soulmate from the past lives. Then some of them come and look, and the person's busy, or they were married and they don't get their soulmate. And then other times they do. So when I look at the love line first, then the soulmate mark is a symbol, and it's the wrist.
Very
so the
cool.
first thing is the love line starts on the thumb side of the hand and looks like a V, like a fork, and 2 people tie the knot right here. Can you see what I'm doing? And so when that's a union, that's 2 people, and it could be 2 men, 2 women, or a man and woman. I'm not prejudiced. I let people do whatever they're going to do. But when it's a union, if it's a soulmate, that means they're finishing their karmic debt from a past life, and it's a payback. They're finishing what they didn't get to complete. So then they come together, and the soulmate mark, look on your wrist if you're right-handed. Are you right-handed? Look by your wrist. Look underneath your wrist on your hand. If there's a V or a pillow-shaped thing right at the center of it, I see it. You have one. It's right there. Yeah. So that's the soulmate symbol. So it only takes one in a couple to have it. I don't have one, but my husband does. So that means you knew each other in another lifetime.
So are there multiple people that we have as soulmates? In other words, I have a lot of people that come to me and believe that there's only one person that they can love. And I'm like,
no. We have many different connections in a lifetime. And so it's the one that's forever that is the one and only, but our sex changes each time we come back, right? So you're male, female, male, female. So last time you could have been the mother of somebody that you married this time, but that doesn't mean that you're the mother now. Or he could have been your mother, or you could have been 2 3-year-old little boys. It just means two people who from before in another lifetime find each other this time, and it's a gel. It just fits. It's like it's a fit, like a glove fits. So you have a person and a person, and they blend perfectly. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. For all those searching, I can just see them out there. I mean, if they could look at people's hands and know that's the right person for me, that would be great. But it doesn't work that way, does it?
But if the other person doesn't reciprocate, it doesn't.
Right?
It has to be on both ends. Yeah.
It'll be nice to find matching serial numbers.
Right? Okay, we're a match. Let's go.
Well, I sort of look at that on everybody that I see. Yeah, I look.
I love that.
Because sometimes I'm doing a couple in my house. Sometimes I'm doing a reading and they're sniping at each other. And I sneak a look at both their hands and I see they're very not compatible. And they shouldn't have even gotten together. And they go, yeah, we're only married 1 year. What's going on? Well, what's going on is they both made a mistake and they knew it, but they did it anyway.
Mm.
Wow. So you were
It's
talking
pretty
something,
interesting.
yeah, about rings. What are the rings that you mentioned?
So when I look at the work and all the other lines, plus all the different symbols, and there's lots and lots of symbols. So I look at everything and then it should make a complete picture. So in an hour reading, which is about how long it takes me, even if it's on the internet and I do somebody from anywhere in the world, I can pull all the different parts together and it makes a cohesive, in-depth reading that shows everything that they need to know.
So
Okay.
is it time sensitive? In other words, if I got a reading from you today, would it benefit from me to come and get a reading from you later on? Because is there things that change or shift? Okay. So the question that I asked was, if I got a reading from you today, and then a year from now, would it benefit to come and get another reading? Would things have changed or shifted over time? Would you see something different?
People call me up. Yeah, people call me all the time and they go, I think I need a little tune-up. And I go, well, why? And they say a lot of things have happened. And so I look in their hand and I can catch them up. I can actually see what happened. So I might say, so you had back surgery, or I see that you moved from one location to another and now you live 500 miles away from where you used to. And they go, yeah, how'd you know that? I don't know how I know it. It just comes right off of them and I pick it up. So I have a million really funny stories.
Yeah. How fast does the hand change?
The lines can change in 5 minutes if you have an experience.
Oh, okay.
So let's say you were in a near-miss car accident, but you didn't get hurt and you got away okay, but it made your blood pressure go straight up. I would look on your hand and say, are you having blood pressure problems? You say, no, it's fine. I say, well, I think if you have one at home, you better put the cuff on. If not, why don't you go to the doctor and get a little checkup because your blood pressure is over 200. Mm-hmm. And they go, yeah, I've been hot all day and I'm red as a beet. That was because they had a near miss. It gave that person like almost a heart attack. And I find it on their hand.
So you said you don't predict the future, but what do you see trends for people?
Well, I can see out into the future a little ways, maybe a year or two into the future. I can't see 20 years out or 5 years out. Mm-hmm. So if somebody says, I need to know where I'm going to be in 5 years with my job, I can't tell them. I can tell them if they work really hard at what they're doing, they'll probably get promoted and then they'll go up the ladder. But I can't say this is definitively what's going to happen because it's not there. You haven't lived it yet. The hand is what happens to you and where you're headed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I'm curious, you talked about doing corporate events. What do you do in corporate events? What, how do you present at those?
I think I heard the question. What was the question?
When you do corporate events, what does that look like?
Well, a person's future, first of all, the hand has present, past, and future. So the past, they already know their past. The present is what they want to know about, and the future is what is coming that I can see a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I never say I'm a psychic because I don't know that I am. I just know that I have more intuitive powers than most people.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's another thing. Well, there's another thing in your background. You talk about your style is Oriental Palmistry. How many styles are there? What do they look like?
What was the question? Because I'm not hearing you.
You talk about using Oriental Palmistry.
I think you're having my.
You use Oriental Palmistry.
You know what I'm hearing is. I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me, Vialet?
Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Dave.
Get the wire under here.
I can hear you, Dave.
Okay, I hear you.
So what he's asking is you talk about that you do Oriental Palmistry. What other styles are there?
What other styles are there?
Uh-huh.
There's okay. The kind I do is Oriental Palmistry. It comes from Asia. Then there's Hindu Indian that most people know. Then there's Grecian, Mediterranean, Gypsy. There's all different kinds.
What makes them different? What's different for each of those styles? What is
okay? Well, the way I look at it, I get the same answers that they do. It's just how the person perceives it. So when I look at a hand and the person is across, so it's upside down and backwards to begin with, right? Because if you put your hand in front of me, it'd be upside down. So underneath the fingers is a long skinny line. So look at your right hand, and you will, if you put your elbow on your stomach, throw your hand out in front of your face, bend it up towards your nose a little bit, and you'll see a heavy duty line under your fingers. Do you see that?
Uh-huh.
That's the lifeline. So I start counting up. I look at that and I can see from the birth canal up to the date they are today. Then it shows what their destiny is and where they should go if they pay attention to details like eating right and exercise and all that. And it shows any trips to the hospital, all kinds of things that could happen to that person or has already happened. So that's the lifeline. Then if you look on the thumb side of the hand is the love line, and it starts in from the thumb and goes towards the center of the palm. And that is love. That's where two people connect. But I start with puberty and work up because I have to see the person's entire picture. So I look at when they first developed as discovering the opposite sex. Then I look at where there's unions that might not have been a marriage, could have been college or after. Then I look at where two people connect. Then I look to see if there's a disconnect or if there's a finality line that means divorce. Then I look for the soulmate mark, which if they have that, it means their potential is to end up with somebody that's like, not an opposite. So likes attract and opposites attract. We know that. But opposites don't always hold up, doesn't always last because they're two opposite. And likes don't always work because two alike. So what you need is harmony and blending with two different personalities. So a like and a like are going to be forever, and a like and an opposite could be or not. Okay.
Wow. So what have been some of the best stories that you have with clients that you've worked with over the years?
Well, I've read a lot of famous people, starting with Gerald Ford, who used to be our president. And I read him in, he used to live in Colorado. And I worked at a big event and he was the keynote speaker and he came and got in my line. And I didn't realize it because I had my head down reading people and the line was all the way out the door. And he got up to me and he had 4 Secret Service with him. And he sat down and I realized who it was. And I said, oh, I would have put you in first if I knew you were waiting. He goes, that's okay. I don't mind waiting my turn. Then he got very abrupt and he puts his hands across his chest and he goes, I don't believe in this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing in your line anyway. So I said, well, I've been doing this a long time. And this was 20 something years ago. And it was in Breckenridge. So he said, okay, if you tell me something that only I know, that nobody else knows, that just you and I are going to know, then I'll believe it. Otherwise, I'm going to call you a big faker, go down into the event and tell everybody not to come and get in your line. So we were hired by a company and there was 10 entertainers there. So I look in his hand and I told him something, but first I told him the Secret Service had to back off. They better go across the room. And we were in a place called Eagle's Nest. And I said, you better tell them to go way over there. And he said, what's that? And I said, because I have a big mouth and you don't want them to hear this and I can't whisper it. I have to say it. So he said, okay. So he backed him off of me. They went about halfway across the room. And I said, nope, they have to go further back. So they went clear across the room and I told him something. And he jumped up and yelled, I believe her. And the Secret Service were on me like you wouldn't believe because they thought I heard him or something. So all of a sudden they got in line. I did all 4 of them. I was the president. But I've done other famous people that you would know too, like Kevin Bacon. Ivana Trump was there at that same party and I told her she was going to have a divorce. And she goes, oh no, me and the Donald are like this. And she holds up 2 fingers. And of course, they got divorced. Mm-hmm. And then I did Sly Stallone, Arna Bombeck, Phil Donahue when I was 16 and he was 17. So I've done a lot of famous people that you would have heard of.
How fun.
And I get them all.
How fun is that? So if somebody wanted to learn how to do this, to learn more about it, where would they go to learn more about it?
Well, I have 4 books that I wrote, and one of them is a how-to book, and it's called May I See Your Hand? And the reason I wrote that is I teach classes in palmistry, and so far I've taught 3,060 people. And so I figured there's enough people in the world, I don't mind sharing what I know and how I do it. And so a lot of people who've learned from me put on their posters when they're in a big fair, learn from, taught by Myrna Lou. So the thing is, my system is simple compared to some of the others. It's much easier to master. So if a person wanted to get in touch with me or wanted to buy my book, it's out of print. They can't get it through Amazon. They have to get it from me. And my website is myrnalou.com. So it's www.myrnalou.com. And that's how they could learn about it.
Very cool.
Now, are you teaching online classes?
No, I haven't done it online because I have to be able to actually see. You can't see all the lines that well on a Xerox or on a scanned thing on a computer. So I have to have it in front of me to teach it. And I give individual, it's a 2-hour class, that's it. And they already have it or they're not going to get it. So most people, I can look in their eye and see they're getting it.
Okay. Are you teaching now or are you getting ready to start teaching again with the COVID restrictions going away?
I've got 2 classes scheduled. And one in July is going to be in a place called Down to Earth, which is a metaphysical healing gift store and center. And then I'm doing 4 fairs coming up. I haven't retired yet. I have 4 big fairs yet this year. So and they're not as big as the ones in Denver, but they're pretty big. They're maybe 50 readers instead of 100. but everybody looks forward to them because there isn't much down here. So everybody comes for those types of events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, Merchandise Mart has closed down, and they've had to move the fair.
They had 100 readers at the Merchandise Mart. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still big, but it's at another venue now. It's at a hotel. Well,
the thing is, at a big fair like that, there's maybe 5 people doing palm reading. And so the competition, they don't know if they want to go to this one or that one. Down here, I'm probably the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So I have lines. And that's always good.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break here and talk about some opportunities at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Vialet Rayne, Master and Teacher of Sacred Priesthood in the Mystery Schools here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. This is a program that I offer about once a year. We take on students to start this program. It's an 18-month program, which means there are 13 classes. We teach a class once a month, and we skip months with holidays. And on this path, men and women can come together to become sacred priests and sacred priestesses of the Order of Melchizedek. The Order of Melchizedek is the oldest sacred priesthood on this planet. It was mentioned in the Bible and still exists today. This is about walking a path of beauty, sacredness, and service. It's about learning how to be a magical creator of your own life and using the universal mysteries to create whatever type of life that you're looking for. This path is filled with magic, about learning prosperity, about creating, about sacred geometry, about Kabbalah, about learning about the ascended masters, the archangels, the elementals, including dragons and fairies and unicorns and the mermaids. It brings all that universal wisdom together to create a way for everyone to have that joyful and abundant life that they've always wanted. I hope that you will check out our website under classes and look for Mystery School or look for Sacred Priesthood and find out more about these classes and what we have to offer. I look forward to seeing you in class, and I hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Well, welcome back to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts and our guest, Myrna Lou. Tell us about your paranormal book. That's really intriguing, The Cruise to the Other Side.
Okay, that book has a palm reader in it. It's a mother and daughter who are dysfunctional. They go on a cruise to celebrate Mother's Day. And then the mother and daughter have a fight on one of the islands. And the daughter says, you better go back to the cruise ship. I want to be alone a little while. So she goes shopping by herself. The mother goes back to the ship and she falls down the atrium steps. And when the daughter gets back, she finds out she's in the medical area. And on a cruise ship, it's called the medical center. It's like a miniature hospital. So she runs in there and there's a deathbed scene and the mother dies. Then they put her in the morgue across the hall, but the mother isn't really dead yet. She hasn't transitioned and her brain is saying, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. And so the daughter goes on the elevator that's all stainless steel. And as the elevator got stuck and there was her mother visualizing on the stainless steel, it looked like a mirror. She could see her mother's image there. So that freaked her out. Then all kinds of things happen in the book and it's a page turner. I'm trying to get it made into a movie.
Oh, that sounds great. Talking about some of your other books. So you have the one that specializes on soulmate connections, Soulmate Connections, Diary of a Palm Reader.
Okay, well.
Or am I mixing two
books? So I wrote the first book, it was channeled, and it's called Me, I See Your Hand. Okay. Mm-hmm. The first book was called Me, I See Your Hand, and it was channeled. I wrote it in 1 hour. You can't write a book in an hour, but I wrote it longhand, and then it took me a long time to straighten it up and put it on the computer. Then I sent it to 14 publishers, and 4 of them wanted it. It came out in 97. I'm still doing book signings with it, and I'm still teaching classes with that one. I just sold one yesterday, in fact. Then in 2003, I wrote Soulmate Special, the one about the soulmate called Soulmate Connections. And the subtitle is what gets everybody's attention. And it says, everything you ever wanted to know about. And then it's relationships, love, romance, and soulmates. I did it at the People's Fair. And a man got online and he was a reporter for the newspaper. And he said, oh, you're the love psychic. And I didn't like that term. So I changed it to soulmate specialist. Then in 2004, I wrote Diary of a Palm Reader. And that one has murderers, kidnappers, embezzlers, blackmailers, UFOs, all kinds of everything else, not just love and romance. Then I didn't do anything for 10 years because I was working 70 hours a week at this. And so eventually I got to 2014 and I wrote Cruise to the Other Side because there's never a palm reader on a cruise ship. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So what the palm reader was a little old lady on the island who didn't speak English, but her granddaughter translated for her. And she told the daughter, go back to the ship right away before it's too late for you to fix things, because she had to fight with the mother, but it was too late. So I wrote those 4 and I'm working on the 5th one right now.
You mentioned bad guys when you did Diary of a Palm Reader. Tell us about some of the bad guys that you've seen, criminals and others, and what happens on their palms.
Okay, well, one time I was doing a benefit at the mall in Littleton, and I had lines out in front of me, and it was for a cancer thing, and I was just donating whatever I made. And the man put a $100 bill on the fishbowl, and I said, "Sir, did you make a mistake? Did you think that was a 1 or a 10?" He goes, no, I know it's 100. And I said, well, why did you do that? And he said, because I have it to give away. And I looked in his hand and I said, oh my God, you embezzled $100,000 from IBM. He goes, I paid that back. I've been in jail already. I took care of what I owed. So that's one of the stories in there. Okay, then there's UFO stories. I had a guy come to my house when we lived in Louisville, and he made the appointment, came to the house, and as soon as he sat down, I looked in his hand, and I don't know how I know this, but I said, oh, you like UFOs? And he said, yes, and I've been in many of them. Do you want to see my inserts where they put implants in me? And I said, no, that's okay. He said, well, one's right here in my wrist. You can look at it. And I said, no. Then I said, you know what? I was reading in the basement of my house at that time in a spare room that we made into a palm reading room. And I said, let's go outside on the patio, because I didn't want to be in the house trapped with him. So we go outside and I read them. And then I said, so how did you find me? And he said, well, I heard you on a radio station with Peter Boyles, who used to be on K-How. And he said, that particular show was on K-Talk, and then he went to K-How. So he said, I made the appointment. It took me 3 days to get here. I left 3 days early. And I said, oh, why is that? And he said, I had a hitchhike here from downtown Denver. And I said, well, it's maybe 40 miles, but why did you do that? He said, well, I left the mental institution that they had me in. I've been living under bridge abutments and sleeping there until I could walk more than a day till I got here. Whew, that was not a good one.
Oh my.
It was a Looney Tune. Then I've had people that said, well, one time at the merchandise mart, somebody said to me, read my palm really fast. And I said, well, I don't do it fast. You get a 20-minute reading here. He goes, no, you don't understand. The mothership is circling the building. They want to take me off to my new planet. So I gave him his reading. Then I went in the restroom to get his energy off of me. I had to, just shake it away. So those are a couple of the loonies. Then I had a guy who murdered people up in the cabin, up in the mountains, and he would lure them to come with him in a bar, and he would tie them up on a secretary's chair that twirled around. He put ropes all around them, and he'd get them all dizzy. Then when they couldn't think or see straight, he would hit them over the head with a hammer. And I picked all that up from somebody's hand, a woman's hand. And I said, oh my God, you got away, didn't you? And she said, yes, I did. He went into the creek Boulder Creek to wash off the blood and everything from one of them after her, because she told him she had to get away. So he took her back down. She told him she had an interview and she had to be there in the police department. So he took her back right away and dropped her off in town. So then the next time he did that, he was in Boulder Creek washing the water and the blood off with water, and they found him. They got him. So he got arrested. And I saw that whole story in her hand.
Wow.
And she confirmed it. So the reason I wrote the book with all the other stuff is because I see a lot of things. I see one of everything. So I could do a kidnapping story real quick if you want to hear that.
Sure. Oh, please.
I worked in Santa Barbara, California, and I worked with I was a stenographer, and the mayor of the town's a woman, and she came to give a talk, and I had to take minutes. So I was in the room taking the minutes, and when her thing was over, she came up to me and said, "I heard around here that you're a palm reader. I'd like you to read my palm." So we went in another quiet room, and I sat down to look at her hand, and I said, "Oh my God, your twins were kidnapped." She starts crying and shows that was 24 years ago. Now, how do I get that from my hand? I don't know. So then she told me the whole story, and they saved them. They got them back. But the thing was, she had a nanny who was watching the 4 kids, and the nanny sold them to somebody. And so then when they questioned the nanny, and the police finally got her to break down, and she told what happened. They went after the man who had them, who was taking them somewhere else. I don't know where. But anyway, that was like 20 years before, because that was 24 years ago, and they were 4 years old. So those are some pretty interesting things. Actually, my books are all coffee table reading books. You could set it down, pick it up, read one story. They're only a couple pages long. Then next day you pick it up, read another story. Or I tell people who work, stick it in your desk drawer when you have a break and you don't have anything to do, just read a story or two. So they're interesting.
Now, you mentioned the strange people who are tied in UFOs. Have you ever had anybody that you read their poem and you felt that there was a legitimate tie-in to UFOs or extraterrestrials?
I don't try and tell anything bad to anybody. So what I do is I skirt the issue, or I say it in such terms. I don't say, so I see that you're lazy and you don't want to work. I say, oh, you're the laid back type. And they go, yeah, I am. So I'm careful about how I say things, because it's libelous. Somebody come after you if you say something that's wrong. You have to be careful. So when I've done people in 93 countries, some of them don't speak very good English. So they call me up or they email me and they go, you reading my hand? I can do it. No. I just tell them I need US American dollars. So for this show only, I'm giving $25 off their reading. So normally it's $100. And if anybody wanted a reading, I do it for $75. And I use PayPal. So that's a nice savings. I did one show out of Canada and I had 40 readings from that. So hopefully this one won't. I used to be a Denver person or a Colorado resident, so I hope that some of the people there remember who I am. So my name is spelled kind of funny, but I can't help that. If they wanted to email me, it's Palmist, PALMIST, @myrnalou.com. And that's MYRNALOU.
Okay, is that the best way to reach you to schedule an appointment?
If they wanted to schedule an appointment, they would email me, and then I could either have them scan their hand and send it to me, or they could Xerox it if they didn't have a scanner or didn't know how. And what happens is if I have too many head in the basket, I try to offer a 3-day turnaround, unless I have 15 sitting there or 14. Right now, I only have 4 up there, so that isn't too bad. So 3-day turnaround is almost unheard of also. So it means I look at it immediately and start working it up. So hold your hand up a minute. Dave, put your hand up. Yep, I know that hand. Okay. See, I could get back to where I left off. I read you a long time ago in Colorado Springs. You probably don't even remember. It was at a little fair that you were into. And I told you were going to live to 90 something. And you said, oh, that's good. Well, it shows right there. So when I look at a palm, I can tell what your potential is, and yours is strength. You come from strong people. Is that true?
Yes, I do.
You come from people who are pretty hardy people, is what it shows. Then your love line is a big, long one, huge. And then it shows your soulmate mark is right there. So you have everything I needed. Okay, you can put it down.
Okay.
Okay, so when I look at hands, I can get a quick, if I've been there before, I remember. Well, okay, it has to be a close-up. I can't see that far away. Dave, push it over to her so I can see. Okay, you have a thing called line, and that line and love line are one. They melded together, became one. That's a good thing. So it means three things. So you could put your hand down and I'll tell you what it means. It means overly religious, which I don't think you are. It means retarded, which I know you're not. And the third thing means you find the love of your life. Your life is your love. So that's what your hand shows.
Very cool.
Well, very good. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you so much for being on with us, Myrna Lou. And again, for the listeners, the website is www.myrnalou.com. And you can contact her, especially to take advantage of her $75 reading special at palmist@myrnalou.com. And her books sound fascinating. You can find her books on her website. And she has a book that you can use to learn how to do palm reading very rapidly. May I see your hand? Palm reading for fun and profit. So strongly recommended. I have that book. I've read it. I've had readings from Myrna Lou, and everything's good. So thank you very much, Myrna Lou.
Thank you for being on. I've really enjoyed it. I learned something new.
Well, yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and it was fun seeing Dave after all these years.
Well, and I want to thank all our listeners for joining us today, or whenever you listen to the program. And please stay with us for messages from several of our practitioners at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. All the best.
Hi, my name is Heather Nichols. I'm a soul journey coach and the owner of Soulful Essence and Wellbeing. For the past several years, I've been on a quest to fulfill my full purpose of healing my past so I may learn to love myself unconditionally. I want to show others how they can do the same thing for themselves. My journey officially began in 2015. I became a Reiki master teacher to be a conduit of healing for myself and others. And I've always had an interest in hypnosis and self-development. And I finally stepped forward in my passion and found a program that helped me release negative emotions that were keeping me stuck in my past. I became a certified practitioner in this wonderful program and later studied Akashic records and many other healing modalities. I'm beginning my new class series starting in March, and this class is for people who are ready to release emotional trauma and blocks from their past. This can be from past lives or this life. During this class, we'll explore what impact anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt has in our lives, how we react to people and situations because of our state of mind, why it's important to forgive ourselves and others. Then it's time to release. And we'll use time techniques to release anger and sadness, a guided meditation to release additional negative emotions, and I'll be giving you a workbook so that you can journal about your experiences. The class schedule is from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on the following days: Saturday, March 14th, Saturday, April 11th, Sunday, May 24th, Saturday, June 13th, Sunday, July 19th, Saturday, August 15th. And you can register at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Facebook, Meetup, or Eventbrite, or at Soulful Essence and Wellbeing on Facebook. You can also register on my website at Soulful Essence, the letter N, wellbeing.com/classes. I look forward to seeing you in my class.
I'm Kate Thomason, aka the Joy Architect. And they call me the Joy Architect because I help people build lives based on their joy. I learned from a near soul death what it takes to make a life joyful, because I realized that that was what was missing. And when I brought it all back in, I realized, aha, this is how it works. This is how you make life fun. You bring the soul in, and now I have a method, a process by which people can have this relationship with themselves, their greater self, very quickly. And they find that foundation of fun in their life that they can use to build their life on. I'm a practitioner at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, so they can look on the website under the practitioners there. Or you can find me at my website, KatherineBlakeThomason.com, KathereIne, Blake, BLAKE, Thomason, TOMASSON.com. I'm available by appointment 7 days a week. I work at the center on Fridays from 10 to 5.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I am an intuitive person along with being a meditation and Qigong teacher. I have traveled the world to meet amazing teachers, and they have taught me all about Qi energy and the Taoist way. Now, these teachers taught me a beautiful practice called Sum Thought Meditation. Now, this is an ancient Chinese wisdom of understanding the Dantian energy elixir. And I'm telling you, this energy elixir is crazy powerful. This ancient Taoist Chinese practice has changed my life, and I want to share this transformational energy with you. Do you want to heal mind, body, spirit? Do you want to break and change old patterns that hold you back? Do you want to open up your heart chakra and move more love into your life? Do you want more joy in just being you? Do you want to tap into your higher self? Then come explore this ancient Taoist wisdom with me. This isn't just a meditation class. We connect, we move, we explore, and we create. Come join me every Monday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. I look so forward to seeing you there.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio.